Hello, piano teachers. This video will address some common problems or challenges that you might find in your piano lessons with your beginner students. So I've come up with three common problems that you might run into, and then some solutions, some ideas to try to work through them. So the first problem is if the student just does not complete the assignment from last week, what you assigned him or her, and they come to the lesson and just things are not done, things are not completed. So the first idea is that you do want to look at yourself and see to make sure that the assignment was clear. Did you write it down in their assignment journal? Did you mark it with the sticky tabs? Did you tell the student, I want you to practice this, this, and this? Another idea, I've mentioned this before. So in the previous week's lesson, have the student echo back, repeat back to you what they're going to play that week at home, what they will practice. So if you looked at yourself and you think everything is really clear, I made my assignment really clear. It was written down in their journal, it was marked. We talked about it at the lesson. We had that recap time, and everything was discussed. Um, you can always just check in with the parent. At the end of that lesson, then maybe when you walk the child back out to the parent, you can say to them, can you help Carter practice a little more this week? I know he had a busy week and was not able to get all of his practicing in. Can you help him practice a few more days this week? Or maybe it's just their theory page. Can you help him do his theory page? He has a written theory page to do this week, and we want to try to get that done. You can also follow up just in a separate email after the lesson if you feel like, maybe not mentioning it to the parent face to face, but you could also email the parent after their lesson and just say, hey, friendly reminder, we want to try to have, these couple of practice days this week. I know the child was busy this week, but just wanted to send a friendly reminder to help with their practicing routine at home. Another idea that you can do with a student is you can try to bribe the student and say, I really want you to practice these songs really good this week. Work hard, or let's complete that theory page this week. And if you do that, next week we'll get to play a fun music game at our lesson. Or maybe you say we get to do an activity that they really like. Maybe it's going back and reviewing a really fun piece, maybe playing a really fun duet, maybe an improvisation activity, but you can bribe them and have them look forward to doing something fun in their next lesson with you. A musical activity is always a good reward. Um, and then last, if the student is just it's not clicking, or they just have some times where they're forgetting, you just have to save time with them and do it in their lesson. So, and you can tell them, we have to get this theory page done, or we have to go through your scales, we have to get those learned. So we're going to do them in our lesson, and you just tell them to try to do the best they can with it, but be sure to carve out that time in the lesson and do it with them so it is completed. All right. So, problem number two is if the student is just seems like they're forgetful and they're just not remembering things that you think that they should probably know. They're either forgetting from last week, or either just maybe a longer term concept that they're just not remembering. I've had a student recently I just met with, and it just seemed like those note names were escaping them from their keyboard topography. Just couldn't remember their white key names. Finger numbers also seemed a little bit off. So if the student just seems forgetful, the best thing that you can do is to jump back. Don't try to forge ahead and push ahead. Jump back. Jump back to where the student does remember some things. So go back to, if it's the white keys, for example, right? Start back at the beginning. Do a quick review. Your two black keys, those will show you where to find the white keys C, D, and E. Can you find all of the C's? And practice that. Can you find all of the D's? Can you find all of the E's? And then go back to the three black keys. So break it down, jump all the way back, do a quick review, and then you can layer on from there to get to your activity at hand. Same thing with finger numbers. Do a quick check. if they're missing something, start with your thumbs. That's finger one. Go out two, three, four, five. Um, we want to be aware today. We have a lot of neurodivergent students who have a diagnosis of ADHD, um, who just maybe have some other learning challenges that they're faced with. And so, if the parent hasn't divulged anything with you, I would not ever ask the parent that, but you certainly could ask the parent, do you have any tips for helping your child remember things? I notice that Carter is forgetting his finger numbers. And that's something we've worked on for a while. I notice that he is having trouble, maybe remembering middle C on the staff. So you could ask a parent specifically about that. And then, do you have any tips for helping them remember things at home or remember things from school? So just want to be aware that child is probably trying their best with you. Um, and so you can ask the parent, if they have any strategies to recommend to you. Problem number three would be just when the student is not playing correctly. It's just not playing accurately like you want them to play their piece, to play a piece of music. So the first thing is you have to identify what the error is, what the problem is. And sometimes we might think it's a note issue. Sometimes we might think it's a rhythm issue. Sometimes note issues actually cause rhythm issues because they can't play the next note. They don't know what it is. So then it's a delay, it's a hesitation, it's a stop. So, what actually could sound like a rhythm issue might be a note reading error. So, then you want to really break that down and help them simplify that and go over the note name, the interval, the direction, maybe the finger number, maybe the letter name. So really break that down. And then if it is a rhythm issue, you can certainly break that down too and tap it or move or tap a percussion instrument or feel that, count it out loud. But something to get that better. You can also have the student play and then have them evaluate themselves. So say, to them, Carter, how did you think that went? How did it sound to you? That also is making sure that they're listening to their own playing. They're not just playing through it and like zoning out. So you can ask them, how did that sound to you? And if it's a spot that you've worked on with them a lot, ask them about that specifically. How'd you do at measure five? How'd you measure 5 to 6? Did you stop? Ask them to evaluate. You could also say, give me a number between 1 to 10. What number would you give yourself for that? Maybe 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Sometimes students are pretty perceptive. They just may not know what to do to get better with it. And then another idea for this is you can say to the student that you're going to play it. You're going to play the piece. You're going to play it 2 different ways and listen one way, play it like the student was playing, and then one way, play it correct. And you could ask the student to listen to the 2 ways and to pick, which way was correct. And then you can have a discussion about that. So these are a few fairly common things that I see in lessons, and then also a few ideas about ways that you can address the issues, and then move on to still have a productive piano lesson.